Biggest winner of the year in business.
The founders of Figma. Figma was the company that was bought by Adobe for 20 some odd billion dollars in September. Market was crashing. World was falling apart. I don't know how the fuck they convinced Adobe to, I think, severely overpay for this company, but good for them. It was fear that drove it. That, oh my God, this is your Instagram. They're going to, I mean, like, it ain't Instagram.
No.
Yeah, it's just like just $22 billion. You could buy 5 NFL teams. I equate everything in NFL teams.
I love how your gold standard is the NFL standard.
Would you rather have 5 NFL teams or 1 Figma?
I'd rather have WhatsApp for $19 billion than 5 NFL teams.
I'd rather have 5 NFL teams.
Yeah, a lot more fun.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, cue the music, the fireworks, the crowd. This is our official New Year kickoff episode of Group Chat. We have a whole bunch of stuff to go through. We're going to go through all of our awards for 2022. So biggest winners, biggest losers, biggest business successes, failures, all the good and the bad of the whole year of 2022. We all have our votes. And then we're going to switch over and look at 2023 and do all of our predictions. Things like what's going to happen in the stock market, who's the biggest winner going to be, who's going to completely fall apart and fall from grace next year.
We end up in jail.
May end up in jail. It might be next week. We have a lot of predictions. We're really hoping that we get these ones right on this one, and we have some good sound bites for TikTok. But we're excited. And it's a hell of an episode, and everyone follow along. And also, hit us up on social media. Let us know where you agree. Make sure you celebrate us when we get it right, because there's nothing better than getting one of these predictions right. And tell us where you thought we were wrong, or maybe we missed something, because this is a really fun exercise every year to make our predictions and give away our awards. You guys ready?
Let's do it. Excited.
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. Woo!
Woo! Wee!
I know you missed us.
All 3.
All 3. You got all 3. We're going to kick the year off right. Can't make any promises
beyond today.
Beyond today, but you have us all today. So far, there has only been all 3 of us this whole year on Group Chat.
No, we did an episode yesterday.
Oh, you did. You did. All right, 50% of the episodes have had drama on them. Okay, so it's New Year. So you guys already did like the New Year, New Us kickoff, right?
Yeah, we did that.
Okay, how'd it feel? Does it feel like a new us?
Yeah, I don't know. I came in complaining about parenting.
Same. I think same us.
Same us.
New Year, same us. Is there any? Could you guys name like one change that you're hoping to make this year?
One change.
Nothing.
No. I mean,
you're good as is.
One change. I'm waiting on drama to go to the sauna place so I could buy a sauna.
Oh fuck! I owe you that.
I'm incorporating sauna in my life.
I wanted to do sit-ups. That was my big thing for this year. Sit-ups.
Why sit-ups?
I just, it's a little soft over here. It's not.
What do you do? You only run? Is running your only physical?
Yeah, and I'll do now because it's raining. I've been doing incline walk on the treadmill.
TikTok hates running. Every other video is how running is terrible for you.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Like, are they talking about like, oh, it's bad for your knees? It's bad for like that?
They're basically saying you're getting no benefit.
I get plenty of benefit.
Stupid.
I'm not saying it's me. I'm just saying TikTok and President Xi.
Ban TikTok.
Dude in the Laker hat. Post that on TikTok. Dude in the Laker hat's getting ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
I get all these fitness people telling me stop running and start fasting.
Fasting?
What?
I'm fucking hungry.
Yeah. I'm not
your
joking.
heart.
I agree. I run.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying what TikTok
it's China,
is
bro. China's just slowly going to be like, oh, what are they doing? Well, a lot of them run. All right, let's take that out. Give them fentanyl.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Jesus.
Starve yourself and don't exercise.
I love running. For the record, I love running. I run all the time.
That's just the dumbest thing. I mean, I'll tell you this. work out pretty heavily these days. I box a lot, lift weights, you do all that. I still have to start running because it's the only way to really improve my cardio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like even with boxing, everything I do is kind of like peaked. And it's like, look, if you don't run a couple times a week, you're just not going to make any progress. Like there's nothing like running.
Yeah, I mean, every boxer, you see Floyd, he runs all night.
That's all they do. It's so crazy. Anyway, so all right. Sit-ups, Anand, you got any changes?
I told you sauna. Incorporate sauna.
Yeah. I heard, I guess I don't want to expose anybody, but a very, very good friend of ours said that a friend of his he was on the phone with said, oh yeah, I'm jumping in the sauna real quick. And he's like, what? You got a sauna? And he heard about it from us talking about it on the pod.
They beat me to it because John doesn't respond.
I've actually talked to a lot of people who listen to the pod that have told me they've been getting, looking at stuff like that.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm a regular old Joe Rogan over here.
Yeah. Cold plunges, saunas.
Stop running, buy a sauna.
Stop running, get some Cheetos.
Yeah, get some Cheetos. Eat Cheetos in the sauna, man. It's way better. And you sweat. Okay, so it's only right that to kick off the year, we do our year, I guess it could be year end or year beginning pod. With our awards, so winners, losers, everything of the year. And then also we're going to do predictions for the new year. So these are always fun. Number one, the thing about the age of podcasting where everyone's now recorded saying these things is it's really fun to go back and look at how terribly wrong we were. Like Dee, I think you mentioned when we or maybe Anand, when we were first in COVID and we were talking about COVID and like how long it would last or like just these different things. We were just oblivious to how it actually turned out. Yeah. But that being said, there's nothing like getting the, Gary V one moment when you got it right and being able to use that clip. Yeah. All you need is one. So we're going to all take our shots at our one that we can repost on TikTok later this year and say that we called it.
Yeah, I like that.
So we're going to do a rewind on 2022 and then a predictions on 2023.
Yep. And I will say props to Anand. This episode is produced by Anand Murthy. He came up with the run of show. It's pretty solid.
Hope so. Let's see.
I think you did it on the fly like an hour ago. So not bad.
Not a lot of thought.
Okay, here we go. First topic is the biggest winner of the year. And this is really more focused on just in general, right? So we're going to do business winner of the year. So more in general, in all of culture and in all of what's going on, who was the biggest winner of the year? Let's start with D.
Mine is the NFL.
Oh,
I thought
even after the other day.
Yeah, I mean, putting that aside, and that's a very unfortunate incident, but the NFL of the top 25 things on television last year, all 25 were the NFL, except for the Oscars and one episode of Yellowstone were the only two things that broke that. The NFL, and the reason why it's really the NFL, we're clearly entering this like economic uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen with private businesses, public businesses, anything, right? Yeah. The one thing I can feel very confident going into 2023 and is that the NFL remains to be resilient. Yeah. It is the one thing that the most amount of people in America do still, which is very, very hard to conquer in this like divisive society. Like what else, how many things in America are watched by like both political parties?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's pretty bipartisan.
Yeah, it's like, it's something that like people just enjoy. It brings the country together. It's the ratings on regular ass TV are record highs week after week. So the sport continues to get popular. They've done an incredible job of engaging fans, whether it's fantasy football, DraftKings, FanDuel, your local bookie, whatever it is, they're just. And then the merchandising and, eventually, like, I have a feeling when you think about like blockchain and NFTs and all that stuff, the NFL is really what's going to pioneer that sports into blockchain. Yeah. And I think NFL is slowly going to become global too. Like, I think you saw the few games in Europe, they were packed.
Yeah, I mean, they packed like 80,000 seat stadiums.
Yeah.
They did Germany, which I think was for the first time. They already do Mexico City. And you know what the most fascinating thing with the NFL is, outside of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, maybe like 5 or 6 people, no one knows what any of these guys look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Odell Beckham, who hasn't even played this season, is one of those 5 to 6 guys that everyone knows who he is. And it doesn't matter. And you still rate 25, 26 million viewers in a game. And it has nothing to do with the individual. That's what's so impressive about the NFL.
Yeah.
You have the names that, like, obviously fantasy people.
No one person, like when Michael Jordan left the NBA, it was like a crisis. Like, whoa.
And when LeBron and Steph Curry leave the NBA will be in a crisis.
Even Tiger with golf.
Oh, yeah.
Nigel Houston with Street League. Like, there's so many of these moments.
Like we talked about on the last episode, the Broncos and Rams, they are 2 of the 5 worst teams in the NFL playing in a meaningless game, had 22.5 million viewers.
My God.
The game actually had 0 impact on anyone's fantasy league, any playoffs. They were just 2 terrible teams playing, and 22 million people watched.
I think it's just unstoppable force.
I mean, I know that moment the other day was like, look, maybe I'm so wrong here and you guys tell me, but like, I know that was that young man's name?
Damar Hamlin.
Yes. I know that was like insane and it was like so scary and unlike anything that anyone's ever seen watching football. But like the way that it was, like it felt like everybody was talking about it. Like it was a huge, and once again, the reason why I say I might be wrong here is because yes, no shit, they were talking about it. The guy looked like, he just completely fell over on the field, but like it literally, like everything on Twitter, everything on every social media was a thing. And I feel like 10 years ago, like it wasn't, even that wouldn't have been that big of a topic, that big of a topic. It felt like the world stopped for a second to like see what was going to end up happening.
Yeah, every major news organization, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, separate from the ESPNs of the world, were covering it.
Yeah.
And you had fans of both teams united outside the hospital, holding hands, doing prayers.
But that's like how many people watched him collapse on the field? Like 30 million people? Like how many people were watching that game?
Yeah, probably
30 million.
I mean, think about that.
It was
like,
a huge game.
That many people weren't even watching Will Smith slap Chris Rock. I mean,
no, not even
that's
close.
like a crazy moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're unstoppable. And
that's why to me, it felt like they just won the year.
Yeah, that's fair.
When the rest of the world was kind of falling apart, they just felt like they took it to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Totally fair. That's a great one. Anand?
Mine's the Middle East. It's pretty insane the kind of revamp from a PR standpoint that region has had in the last 12 months. I think it's a combination of multiple of things, right? Like, first, the economies in the Western world, from an investment perspective, went to shit, and everyone was fundraising and wanted to figure out where to go. And everyone who was high and mighty, 2-3 years ago, I don't need to take money from people with human rights violations. That all went out the window because no one was investing in the U.S.
Too much money, yeah.
So everyone went to Saudi, Kuwait, Oman, UAE to raise money. And then you had the cultural impact of the World Cup, where you brought the biggest pop culture icons in the world, all came for events from the Formula One leading up to it, from obviously the World Cup. And then it seemed like every celebrity from a pop culture standpoint did the tour of Dubai, Saudi, catch a game. Every investor's been there. And it kind of felt they were like the center of just new importance, which they didn't have even 18 months ago.
Yeah, cultural importance. I mean, if you think about what is America best at is culture.
Yeah.
No matter how big all these other kind of countries have gotten in terms of popular culture, what does everyone want? They want American culture, and far from the world wants what's Middle East is offering from a cultural standpoint, but they're curious now.
And the other thing is, because this is no secret for the Middle East, China, you always had A-list stars get a crazy check to show up at some wedding, some event, but they never publicized it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, now we can say like, yeah, I was in Saudi. Khaled posting his videos of him crying in Saudi. Like, the future Steve Stout, Justin Bieber, like it didn't matter. Like you named the biggest people in pop culture, and everyone now felt okay. Like, oh, it's okay for me to post from here. Whereas 10 years ago, they would just not the same celebrities, the same celebrities of that stature 10 years ago would go get their check and keep it really quiet.
Yeah. It's fucking pretty crazy. Like to have as bad of an image as they had like recently.
Yeah.
Like, man, but fucking
think about how many hit pieces came on Qatar leading up to the World Cup.
Yeah.
You had 60 Minutes. You had, every news organization saying the conditions for the visitors, for the workers, people are dying, people are falling off buildings. Who knows what was true and what wasn't true.
Yeah.
But they had every imaginable hit piece leading up to the World Cup. And
you just have to deliver a good time.
And you had like the best final of all time.
Yeah.
It's just
with
money,
the two biggest
right?
stars, right?
I mean,
it's not just money. I think it's also, they've had money for decades, but they never put it toward making the experience. And we talked about this in the last episode. Dubai cut their sales tax on alcohol. I think they're now like culturally playing ball. Like you got to serve alcohol.
Yep.
You want people to go to these places. You as a society may not want to engage in that, but tourists do. Like you want big fat America to come to Dubai, which they want. Yeah. They want the family of four to come and vacation. And Dubai, they want to have a beer.
Dubai had that before this. They were the only ones, but now the other countries are kind of getting hip to game.
Yeah.
And even in Saudi, obviously privately you can do everything in Saudi, but I mean, you've talked to some pretty important people that think in the next 6 months alcohol is just going to be available.
Yeah.
Separate from the private secret stuff.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, and that's like that's all MBS, right?
MBS is Saudi for sure. He's definitely.
Don't you think he's the young, like he's the one that was like, yo, we need to get this shit going. Like we got a young.
For Saudi, he definitely is from the cultural standpoint. Like let's forget all the other stuff for a second.
Yeah.
He definitely is the one who expanded women's rights. Women were allowed to drive under his rule. Women can walk around without their husband freely, which wasn't the case.
What a trailblazer.
Yeah, he's a real visionary. But yes, for them, I mean, that's a big step. The normal.
You can, I think, even if you're not a local, definitely if you're not local, if you're someone else and you're a woman, you don't have to wear a hijab in Saudi anymore.
But don't you think even like building relationship, like trying to make it cooler and get the celebrities there and do you think that that's his vision? Like that's his. Well,
I think from what I've heard is basically he's obviously young. He's under 40. He might be 37, 36.
Yeah, I think he's like 37. Yeah.
And he's put in charge of all the major ministries, finance, energy. It's a bunch of 35 and 36-year-olds that love to game, that love Discord, that love Cristiano Ronaldo, that probably love rap music, that love Diplo. And they're like, let's just get them all here.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I would love to know like what's.
Yeah, don't forget Live Golf.
Yeah, Live Golf
Live
too.
Golf.
Don't even forget that.
I mean, they got Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. I would love to know.
I mean, if I was LeBron, I'd be calling up
$1 billion a year.
Yeah, I'd be like, what? Just give me the same deal.
Yeah.
He needs more.
Why? To be dunking on some Saudis.
What's Cristiano get? 200 a year?
250, something crazy.
Yeah, he could just go shit on Saudi players for 5 years.
Make $1 billion and come home. Yeah. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's pretty
wild. Maybe Bronny should get a contract in Saudi.
Yeah. They get paid more there than the NBA.
Oh, yeah. Way
Do
more.
a gaming/basketball deal.
They should just take all of these young, famous players. Isn't there kind of a little pack of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little pack. Get the FaZe Clan over there. Get
Let them
Dobrik.
Let them all play each other. Drake
I
plays,
mean,
right? Let him play.
everyone has a price, right?
Yeah.
How much Dobrik? Give him $1 billion. He'll show up to Saudi.
Yeah, why not?
Well, I think that's kind of the lesson of this whole Saudi thing, right? Is like everyone has a price. Like they did horrendous things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like undeniably. It's not like, oh, they're kind of questionable over there. Like horrendous. But in a very short period of time,
You can
they
buy
sort
your
of
way out of
bought
anything.
their way out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay. All right.
Next.
Mine's actually very similar to yours, D. Mine's the UFC.
Oh.
Very similar, like had a massive rise really during COVID. They really were like one of the first sports properties to keep events going during COVID. They did these like private events at the UFC Apex. I don't know their numbers offhand.
And ironically, sorry, don't mean to interrupt, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Weren't they doing it in Abu Dhabi, which is where?
Yeah.
100%. That's I think that's a huge part, I think, of their like why like I think they're investing heavily in fighting over there. You know, a couple of the last biggest fights were over there. I think they did a huge deal with the UFC. But it's just grown exponentially through COVID, and then now it's just huge. Like it's just every arena they go to is every arena is record capacity. Everything's record breaking. Everything's like, I don't know where they go from here. I'm sure you could do way more events. I'm sure you could do more international stuff, but man, I think that they're really like under penetrated for how massive it really is. And who would have thought, right? I mean, a few years ago, it was like you're kind of, if you like UFC, you're like, oh, like you're like a weird fight guy. Like now it's this huge thing.
Yeah, that means William Morris won because everyone thought they overpaid.
Yeah. I mean, they paid $5 billion. Which is, see, you can't even buy one NFL team.
No.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's a steal.
Yeah, it's a steal.
UFC turned out to be a steal.
I know nothing about fighting, but those big fights are on my radar.
Yeah.
And I think, and now you can unlock all the other potential, what the NFL did. Okay, what they're doing with gambling, what they did with licensing, what are they doing with all the peripheral content that came from the NFL, like
gyms and just
exactly. Stuff. Like there's so much opportunity there. Yeah, I think it's great. Too bad the main dude was beating up his wife.
Yeah. No comment on that one.
He's gonna stay away.
That was brutal. I mean, that was just
that was a rough video.
That was a rough video. Okay, Okay, next up, biggest winner of the year in business. So this is specifically business. D, who you got?
I got the founders of Figma. Figma was the company that was bought by Adobe for 20 some odd billion dollars in September. Market was crashing. World was falling apart. I don't know how the fuck they convinced Adobe to, I think, severely overpay for this company. But good for them. They're my biggest winner. I think the main founder had 10%, made $2.2 billion. Sail off into the sunset. You're my winner.
That's probably a $6 billion acquisition today.
Yeah. And even in September, it was overpaid given the market. I think it was fear that drove it. That, oh my God, this is your Instagram. They're going to, I mean, like, it ain't Instagram.
No. And they paid $1 billion, and Zuck paid $1 billion for Instagram.
Yeah, it's just like just $22 billion. You could buy 5 NFL teams. I equate everything in NFL teams.
I love how your gold standard is the NFL standard.
Would you rather have 5 NFL teams or 1 Figma?
I'd rather have WhatsApp for $19 billion than 5 NFL teams.
I'd rather have 5 NFL teams.
Yeah, a lot more fun. Okay, that's a great one. Anand, biggest business winner?
Oil and gas.
Good old America.
Back to picks and shovels.
Back to the basics.
We got to start drilling, baby.
Remember the California gold rush? They just had picks and shovels looking for gold.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got to go back to drill, baby, drill.
I hate to say it, but you are right. Talk about like, I've never seen such a like false start. I don't know if anyone has. Like it was like clean energy, no more oil and gas, everything's electric. Then like Web3, metaverse, like it was just like the future is here, and then it's like
let's just sell some oil and gas.
All it took
was and fucking printing out images like we used to.
All it took was a conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah,
to basically be like Russia supplies a lot of gas or oil, and guess what? We're screwed.
Yeah,
it blows my mind how stupid people are.
Yeah, I mean, like, clean energy.
Hey, this whole thing we're on, this whole change is at the mercy of this very volatile country having a problem. Any problem.
Multiple volatile countries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the entire Middle East region. It's Venezuela. It's Russia. It's
well, that's mainly because we've chosen not to drill. I mean, we have probably the most oil that in the world, but we're not going to drill.
That's so wild. God, we're so weird humans. Yep. Okay, my biggest business of the winner of the year is Bob Iger.
Oh, nice. The comeback.
He's back. You know what I mean? Did you guys read that article? I think it was Washington.
I think it was New York Times, I think.
Yeah, there's a really good article about him stepping down and kind of the problems he had with Bob Chapek and, the CFO calling him and asking him to come back. And it was this really great article. Obviously, I'm a fan of his. I read the book and whatever, but he's back. And I think... Well, we'll get to this later, but I think he's going to do his thing, and he thought he was done, and now he's going to have one last stand.
It's also, if we had this category, which you don't, is the biggest savage, because
he's a savage,
he picked the guy, and then he went behind his back and got an entire company and board to basically say, let's off his head. And
you don't perform, you're out.
You're out. It's just fun to watch like that story that like Disney operates, at times like,
that was some Game
of
Thrones
episode of Succession.
Or like any little company, it's like, oh, the CFO called him privately and said, would you do this? Yes. 3 days later, he's in. This happened.
And Iger handed him the worst hand. The world was shutting down, and he knew.
He literally handed off disaster and then came sailing back in as soon as it was clear. It's great. It's gonna be great for his legacy. His legacy will just look incredible.
It's gonna be another good book for you to read.
So, yep, that's my winner. Okay, biggest loser. Anything, culture, anything in the world, not specifically business. D, who you got?
Supreme Court. With the Roe v. Wade overturning. And a number of other things that they've kind of gotten pretty close to changing. Yep. I think we now see the ramifications of not voting. Yep. And we'll continue. And in this Supreme Court are fucking spring chicken. They're really young.
Yeah, they're 40, 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, Kavanaugh looks great. He's cruising.
Beer's good for you.
All that beer is not yet.
Beer's not bad for you.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, they're very dangerous, and they can do some pretty crazy things to this country. And so, it's going to be a wild ride.
But don't you think, as a positive, that like Roe v. Wade was this terrible error in judgment, but they paid for it instantly in the midterms? Like, I think that the biggest reason why the red wave didn't materialize is that.
I agree, and I think they could have easily just left that alone. But here's the thing.
Don't you think that's a little smack on the wrist?
No, because like the one thing that I think conservatives do really, really well is that they play the long game.
Yeah.
And like even gerrymandering and like all of these things are like, they're looking at 30 years, 20 years, 10 years. They're like, well, you guys won today, but we're going to redo this district. And California is going to be a part of Arizona next year. And whatever, it's like, they're playing a different game. It's very strategic. And like, but the only thing that's bad is that like the party is imploding with a bunch of morons in it. So maybe it doesn't work out anyways. But the point is Supreme Court is still operating. They're independent. They're doing whatever the fuck they feel like. And so I think to me, they took a big, like, to me, they're a loser to watch.
Yeah. I mean, they're undeniably a loser. My only hope, contrary to yours, is that they were sure they were riding into that red wave so confident. And the fact that they didn't, I feel like all conservatives, wherever they all communicate, had to have been like, okay, hold on. Like, we got to go a little slower here if we're trying to do what we're trying to do.
That's fair.
So I don't know. I mean, who knows? But we'll see. I think that was hopefully a wake up call for crazy judgments like that.
Yeah.
Anand, biggest loser of 2022.
In line of the current discussion, Republicans.
Yeah.
So Kevin McCarthy, who's trying to be voted as Speaker of the House, has been.
That's 2023.
What do you mean?
Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah. That's
Well,
the
the
second
biggest
part of the
loser,
episode.
the
on
biggest
it.
loser of the
You
last year is
designed it.
Republicans,
Okay.
because the red wave, the red tsunami never materialized.
Yeah.
And everything we were told by the news, social media, you name it, was like the country is done with Democrats. They're done with everything that Democrats stand for. Clearly, that's not the case. The Republicans currently hold 222 seats in the House to 213 to Democrats. You need 218 to win Speaker of the House. The Republicans have turned on their own party, and which is why they can't even vote their own Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
And they're on their sixth vote. The last time that someone has not been voted in as Speaker of the House was 100 years ago on the first vote. They are on the sixth vote because they can't even get their party in line.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, their party's in shambles.
Complete
It's like,
shambles.
I gotta say, once again, just for any hate, like I'm a registered Democrat, but you're never gonna have as good of a time as you do now. Because
Or
there's
as
a lot
you
of,
did.
Yeah.
As you
as
did
you
the
did.
last 2 years.
Man, you had
Post-
so much ammo and like, okay, we got to tighten shit up. Go Republican, and you fumbled it. You couldn't even do it.
Yeah, and they're just
Not
now
that I
there's
wanted you to, but you
infighting
couldn't.
among the party, and that's really hard
Yeah,
to
and
come
I
back
think
from it.
this is like a remnants of Trumpism, that there's still enough of the party that is so batshit crazy
Yeah.
that even the sensible ones that you can agree and disagree with a lot of things, but they don't say crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to even get behind them in unison.
I mean, if the Democrats get it all together, now they have the window, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wild.
So we'll see.
Okay. Well, we're on Biggest Loser. You know, this feels a little bit like a cheap shot, but I went with Will Smith.
Okay.
You know, we're this long past it now, and like he hasn't recovered. There's not some media. You know, he put out a movie. I don't know how it did, but I don't think very well.
Yep.
I see him making some TikToks, trying to get that going. He did a bit of a press tour, doing some podcasts and stuff. I don't know. I mean, maybe next year he gets it together, but I didn't know what was going to happen after such an event. You know, they have so much power. They could figure it out. They could get him back, but he is not back, I don't think. And it looks like Chris Rock has a special coming out where supposedly he addresses it. That's going to be.
I think that's
rough.
part of the tour, right? That he's been on with Chappelle,
Yeah.
where he addresses it. What's crazy to me is I saw there's something like in TMZ or something. This was whenever his movie that's coming out that he might be nominated for Best Oscar and he can't even win or he can't attend. I forget
Yeah.
which restriction it is.
Yeah.
Definitely not can't attend, but
Yeah.
who knows if he wins. That he did like a private screening at his home and like Chappelle's there. Chappelle just like goes to every famous person that's in
Yeah.
controversy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's his. It's good
Yeah.
content.
Yeah, it's good.
I think he
content.
thinks he's like,
And then he
playing
goes
the
on
fucker.
tour with Chris Rock,
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
Will Smith
yeah.
slapped.
And then he's going to have the best special of any of them because
Yeah.
he's going to have all the perspectives. Yeah, I just, he just didn't really recover. That was a brutal night that really, like, I think kind of derailed, like, the whole family up until now, at least. I mean, you
Yeah,
don't
I
hear
mean, he
much
could.
about-
I think he'll put out content. He'll put out movies. He'll put out TV show, whatever it is. I think there'll always now just be a kind of mark on his career.
Yeah.
That it will, you know, which the beautiful thing about America is we love a good comeback. And, you know, in 2 years from now, he could be winning the Oscar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for
the thing
sure.
is, I think he just lost the aura of Will Smith,
Yeah.
where he was invincible, and now everyone's just like, "You're just a lab-made celebrity. Like you're not real. Your apology was BS."
Yeah.
He took those 6 questions on
Yeah.
whatever platform
Yeah.
he did,
That
and
was
or
bullshit.
Instagram, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think people saw through it, and they're like, "Yeah, I mean."
I think the new mega celebrity, the old mega celebrities were like that, where Will Smith polished, whatever. I think the new age mega celebrities, you got to be able to handle a controversy. You got to be able to handle a fuck up.
Yeah.
You got to be able to spin all of it into more good content. That's the new mega celebrity. That old stuff
Yeah,
doesn't.
I mean, for what you're to your point, there's a clip going around on YouTube. Michelle Obama is promoting her book, and I forget which news program she's on, but it's clearly a big one because it's gone viral. She's like, "I hated Barack for 10 years. We've been married 30."
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, that's great.
I feel like I'm going to get that clip from Haley one day.
And they're like the
You're in the
model
middle of
couple.
it right now. You're on year 5.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the
But no, that's like, I think people want to hear, like, because everyone knows marriage and raising children is tough. And,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why the biggest people are the ones who are keeping it real.
Yeah. Okay. Biggest business loser of the year 2022. D, who you got?
I got Web3.
Oh, that's great.
The whole fucking thing.
The whole
one
fucking
thing is a
kit and
disaster.
caboodle.
How about 1 and 2?
What?
1 and 2 are still
1 and
good.
2 are thriving. Amazon's fine.
Yeah,
They just
fine.
laid off 17,000 employees.
Yeah, that was just, just to make
That's
Wall
fine.
Street happy.
This is a little
But
clean.
Web3 is the end cap of what a disaster Web3 was the FTX situation with SBF, would basically just put a pin in a moment of time of complete recklessness. Nothing is really built yet. You can believe that there's a vision and a technology, and it's very much similar to what happened in the .com bust. But there isn't mass adoption. There's belief. I don't doubt that. But from a business standpoint, it does not exist yet. It just doesn't exist. And I think, everyone always says when, this is good, it's a cleansing. There's unfortunately a lot more cleansing left to do, because there was a lot of companies that were given a shitload of money. And every day you're hearing another company shut. Yeah. And, that's billions of dollars that have just been evaporated.
I also think everything is marketing, and like the marketing, like Web3, there was so much hype. Anything Web3 was getting funded. People were excited. People were buying that. Like now it has a really bad taste in everyone's mouth. Like I feel like you'd almost have to rename it, like rebrand it. Don't call it Web3.
Yeah. Web3 was such a good name. I think you have to go back to like crypto or something, because I think the other thing is that like there was this like pivotal moment where you saw institutional people get ready to put money. But given what just happened, if you're a BlackRock or you're Blackstone or you're any of these people, like, and your endowments are, your money's coming from endowments or pension funds, and in this risk averse environment, you can't now allocate money into crypto, which sucks because we're so close to that adoption.
Why don't we just move on to Web 4?
There's two different. Web 3 I think you delineate in two different things, because Web 3 was like NFTs and like, we're going to change video gaming. We're going to change all this stuff.
No, everything. We're going to change the world.
So Bitcoin actually is none of that. It's basically a store of value. It's an asset where people have collective belief.
You got to sell that. That's a tough, like, you're right. You're so right. But it got
as
wrapped
much
up
bad news has happened to Bitcoin, it's kind of stabilized.
Yeah.
Like 16, 17K. And it could have gone to zero. It could have gone to $500, like whatever it is. And like people have accepted Bitcoin's gonna be a store of value.
I think the whole future of Bitcoin relies on that story being sold, because I think a lot of people still relate it to, those people that got it to 60,000 relate it to.
They thought they was going to change the world. It's just another store of value. That's fine. I can admit it, but it's not technology.
Ethereum
there's no technology.
No, there's tons of technology. It just hasn't been manifested yet in a scalable way. But the technology works.
There's
nothing that's scaled in mass adoption from the consumer, but the technology works, and so someone's going to figure that out.
I just don't think decentralized things with money are going to work in our lifetime.
I think you're going to need a Web 2 on ramp to Web 3. Web 3 meaning anything related to Ethereum, anything related to Bitcoin. You need a combination, and I think that's what we learned in the last 18 months. Not that the technology doesn't exist.
I think the word decentralized even got the shit kicked out of it in the last 2 months, because I think, look, I'm not saying it's right, but I think a lot of people just tie in like, decentralized, fraud, like how FTX was, right?
Yeah.
Or decentralized, I just think it decentralized to a lot of people feels like a scam now.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand the mechanics of what that means.
Yeah, and it'll take time, and obviously there were going to be scammers no matter what, because it was so easy when everyone had
it's just
free
the
money.
Scale of scamming is just enormous.
I'm not saying it won't work. I just think the whole future relies on somehow getting people to understand what it actually is, because I still don't think they do. It still just tracks the stock market.
Oh yeah, 100%. It tracks high growth high growth,
which is stupid.
tech stuff.
It shouldn't at all. There's no relation. Okay, what shit? This is too much fun. Are we on Anand loser? Yeah, Anand. Who's your biggest business loser of the year? That's it.
Streaming. It's a loser. The business doesn't work. Everyone's realizing it. Your boy Chapek got clipped by Iger. The streaming business of Disney doesn't work.
We want to watch TV. Yeah. We don't want to stream anything. I want to watch a commercial.
Just want to watch football and YouTube. So
yeah,
you got either of those.
And I think it's a business model that only people that can actually make streaming work are Amazon and Google with YouTube. It's because they don't need it to make money.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, man.
But like, what's going to happen with like Peacock and all these other streaming? They're all going to just
disappear. I think Netflix will be the sole winner.
But even Netflix, they're going to have. I think they're going to have customer deterioration at some point because
all these ads and shit.
Any of the hot shows, like Netflix, isn't where I'm hearing they're coming.
Well, Gen Z shows are definitely Netflix. There's a lot of Gen Z shows happening on Netflix.
I feel like Apple should make a power move right now.
Oh, Apple too can afford to. Yeah,
I don't think Apple's going to be allowed to buy fucking Netflix. No, I would not allow that.
Or just let them buy Peacock and just acquire IP.
Peacock is the NBC. They're not going to let them buy NBC Universal. Fuck no.
Well, hurry up and do it before Congress understands what the fuck you even make.
They won't even know. Do you think they know the difference between Peacock, NBC, and Netflix?
They're getting younger, man. Hurry up.
Yeah, streaming's. It was.
Yeah, that's wild.
Similar to a lot of things
that.
Promised. It's
just too many streamers.
Yeah,
and they don't work. The business doesn't work. Just similar to like D2C doesn't work. Because as you scale, like customer acquisition is tough.
No, or it just needs to be smaller business. You don't need to have fucking 2 billion users.
I feel like the business of streaming that works is YouTube. Like it's user generated. You split the ad revenue. That business model works.
Yeah, user generated works.
You got to pay too much money for content.
You're not paying the upfront bill that you're paying freaking Shonda Rhimes like $300 million. We pray you have a good show.
Yeah,
that's tough. Okay. My business loser of the year, I purposely chose this way. My business loser of the year is the Yeezy brand.
Wow.
I mean, essentially went to zero.
Yep.
You kind of took like the biggest, like who would have thought, man? If this is one of those, like 6 months ago, you told me this, I don't believe it. You take this, like the biggest household name in sort of sneaker culture, streetwear, pop culture when it comes to brands. And I mean, as of right now, is anything even
nothing's coming out. Nothing's coming out. I mean, sure, on the resale
Adidas
platforms,
selling through old inventory still, or no?
No, not that it's publicly known.
So as a brand, I'm guessing that their revenue went from hundreds of millions to
zero. Yeah, I mean it's zero right now.
Negative. I mean,
no one can buy it, right?
Yeah, if someone sends a return, you're screwed.
I mean, isn't that absurd?
It literally went from billions of dollars to zero overnight. It's insane.
That's wild.
It's a good one.
Okay. All right, moving on. Now we have. Okay, this is just the fireworks moment. This is the biggest individual winner. So individual, Anand, do you mean like person?
Yes. Could be any walk of life.
So from anywhere, but this isn't brands, this isn't whatever.
Could be a
this
dog.
Is the person.
If there's a hot dog on social media, it could be your biggest winner.
Yeah, you're right. This is the person or animal that was the biggest winner of 2022. D, who you got?
Ironically, my person is also an animal. Bad Bunny.
Yep, that's a great one.
My winner is Bad Bunny. He had the biggest tour in the history of tours at like some 450 some odd $1 million of a global tour. He does not have songs in English, and he is a global superstar. That is unbelievable. And frankly, the world doesn't speak Spanish. If it was a Chinese artist, I'd get it. It's like most of the world does not speak Spanish. There's very few Spanish speaking people on earth compared to some of these other, compared to English. Yeah. And the revenue that was made was not in like South America. The revenue was made in America. which is, even in America, like, Javier, do you know Spanish?
I can get by.
Yeah, and you're from Mexican
If you listen to a Bad
heritage.
Bunny record, how much of it do you understand? Be honest, 20%.
Yeah, right. Maybe less.
Yeah.
Okay.
Babuni. That's what you understand.
Great beats, though. Great beats.
But fascinating to see that like a non-English speaking artist can now become the biggest star in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's great. And I mean, similar to K-pop, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's funny. Everyone kind of forecasted that, and I didn't really believe it, and I was so wrong. Like everyone's like, "Oh, the next big artist is going to be Latin art." You remember that? Like,
Yeah,
of course.
10
I think it just
10
took
years ago.
time because it was like the first version of a Latin artist I was introduced to was Ricky Martin or Mark Anthony. And it went through this like phase. The same
Yeah.
thing with, Korean artist was Psy to BTS. What a transition where BTS are like fashion icons and Psy was kind of like a cartoon character.
Yeah, even Drake knows he needs to rap about him. And then Bad Bunny gave his little Insta story.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think, that's my biggest winner.
Yeah, you're big if Drake is bragging by saying he's doing your type of numbers.
Yeah.
Yes, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is wild. Okay, that's a great one. Anand?
President Xi.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
Communist.
So I think he
I
made
knew
what
you weren't
everyone.
just a lefty. I knew you were going full communist.
Yeah. Full communist.
I think he made what we all thought from the outside was every political miscalculus, shut down the country completely for 3 years. No one can travel in and out. He jailed every tech CEO that, made billions of dollars. If you're a billionaire, you basically got your passport taken away. You can't leave the country. You can't talk. You can't say shit. And he was just named emperor for life at this tail end of 2022.
I like emperor. It's a hot
I
word.
mean, but half of his country has COVID right now, right?
And he has no risk of losing power.
Yeah, that's true.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's winning.
He is. I'm not saying the country is. Or the citizens.
Yeah. No, it's not about it's not the biggest country winner
And
of the year.
even the inauguration of Emperor for Life, he just like kicked out the previous premier.
Yeah. Insane.
Okay, that's a good one. Mine, I gotta go with Elon here. I don't know that he won on a personal level when it comes to sanity or bandwidth or stress levels. But I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to the richest man in the world and also probably the most talked about, I mean, it's just unheard of.
He's not the richest man anymore.
Yeah, he's poor.
Well, yeah, he's poor now, but you know what I'm saying? He's back and forth. But like, I mean, just the ability to do all of this stuff and be involved in all of these, conversations for good or for bad. When it comes to just high performance as an individual, I am just blown away. So I had to give him credit here somewhere, and this is where I put him.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think he's a polarizing figure. Some will say he's the biggest winner of the year. Some will say he's the biggest loser of the year.
Yeah, we get into me. He's my biggest loser of the year.
We'll know next year.
Yeah.
He's my biggest loser. He's selling Tesla stock at a record pace to fund all his losses from paying $45 billion for Twitter, which is probably 90% overvalued. It probably should have been a $6 or $7 billion acquisition. Tesla's lost over $650 billion in market cap this year.
Yeah.
And he did it all out of ego.
I just got to say, I believe he did it because he truly believes in what was happening in all of these Twitter files and what was happening with censorship. And he's trying to turn that around. I do believe that.
I think both can be
he
true.
got robbed.
I think he got robbed, but I think both can be true. He actually privately believed that Twitter was doing a disservice. But then all the things he said publicly about just putting out bids on Twitter of acquisition prices, he got bullied into buying it. And he could have just been an activist outside of wasting $45 billion. And now he's on the hook for it because he never wanted to buy it. I don't care what anyone's going to say publicly. There's no chance when he started tweeting recklessly, like the same way he tweeted about Tesla stock being overvalued. He didn't want to buy Twitter. And anyone tells you that, it's lying.
What if he told us?
He's lying.
What if I ran into him? I just believe, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how far down this path I even want to pretend to care to go, but like, these Twitter like things in these Twitter files are like, it's pretty crazy. Like, I don't know to like get in and audit it. If was everything true and this and that. But the point is like exposing social media, big tech's role in policing speech and now knowing that other platforms are doing it too, they have to be, is pretty wild. Like it's a pretty big, for better or for worse, like turning point in, you know, the new version of our country where everything happens on social media, like learning that the FBI is contacting these platforms and that all this stuff. It's like, what a crazy, now, was it worth 44 billion? No. Would he have done it for 10 and been in a much better spot? Absolutely. But man, like, I don't know. I just believe, and I understand that I'm a little bit like being a little kid with like, oh my God, he can do anything. That like I believe that what SpaceX will become and what Tesla will become and what Twitter may or may not become, his story is going to end really positive. I don't see it all going up in flames.
And then my just counter take, because I think the Twitter files is important for people who actually care, but I don't think most people give a shit.
I know, and I think that that's actually like,
because that's what's been happening in news for generations, and all our news platforms, whether it's CBS, NBC, and we got our news from 4 anchors.
Yeah, but now with the power of technology, you can push the scale whichever way you want.
Yeah, this is. I mean, we're gonna get back into the dude with Laker hat conversation, but like, I just think to see it, like, even if you would have seen. If there was a news platform in 1980 that said it was completely impartial and was just reporting the news, and reports came out that the FBI was directly contacting them and changing stories, that would have been a massive, massive story at the time.
Yeah, and I guess my point is that happened. I can't prove it because it was 1980s,
but now we have proof that it happened.
But now it's just different when you have proof, and you're like.
But like I think it's similar to like what the red wave didn't become. Like no one cared about what these guys were saying on social media. And similarly, I don't think anyone.
You mean?
No, the red wave, the whole 2 years that like, oh my God, Republicans are the new future of the country, blah, blah, blah. I guess what, the country's pretty divided still, center. Yeah. And like crazy people got voted out, moderate people got voted in. And I think at the same point, like no one really gives a shit about Twitter files. Just keep Twitter and let me get cool tweets about sports and news.
Until it stops having an impact on society, it's a big issue.
So my argument is that zero impact on elections, at least in 2022.
Not elections. There's just other things happening in the world.
Because the whole point was Twitter's pushing the scale to make liberals look better. But the whole thing in 2022 was exposing they did that and how bad liberals are, and had no effect on people saying, oh, the liberals suck. They voted down the middle.
Yeah, but this happened 4
years
ago.
But don't you think things like suppressing a story about Hunter Biden affected in some way? I'm not saying Trump would have won. I can't believe they did this, but like it was cheating. It was, you were pushing your thumb on the scale in one side.
The argument I'd make is in 2016, Trump was saying, can the Russians hack Hillary? And do you think that didn't impact the election? He just did it publicly.
But that's a human being versus a corporation.
It's also the public matter of it. It's when you lie.
We've argued about this.
We're going to go back to the same conversation. Okay, so we are now on individual biggest loser of 2022.
Yep.
Man or animal, man, woman, child, animal. D, who you got?
Mine is Kanye. And really because obviously the guy himself imploded his entire kind of, being. Kanye West, up until 3 months ago, was the most influential person on young males in America ever.
Yeah.
Ever. 18 to 40-year-old males. He is the most, the way Michael Jordan had an impact on, let's say, my generation. We emulated Michael Jordan to a certain extent, this generation of like young men fucking idolize Kanye West.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're an intellect, you're from poverty, you're rich, you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're Asian. That music had such an impact on your life.
Yeah.
And then you bought into the clothing and merch, you bought into the shoes.
Well, you even bought into the personal life. You bought into the family.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that was the first phase. Then it became family, and then it was just this whole ecosystem that people beloved. And even after all the original Trump stuff, basically everyone gave him a pass. He was welcomed back, and basically became bigger than ever. And to see where he's come, what's happened in the last 3 months, is just shocking. This is the route he chose because he was basically on God level.
And he could have apologized immediately.
Yeah.
And he would have been given another pass.
Oh, yeah. Instantly.
If he just took back everything he said after the first meltdown and just said, you know what, guys, I was just wrong.
Yeah. And by the way, I actually don't think if you said, let's say there's 100 million Kanye West fans today, and I would say 50 million of his fans are never coming back. The other 50 million, I think they could love him more than ever in 6 months. I do think that's possible.
I don't think he's ever coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like he has legitimately just like, I feel like in most of these stories, there's like somebody says something wrong or does a bad thing. And then it's like, oh shit, there's this moment. And then like, are you going to come back or not? And
so my counter to that is we just witnessed one of the biggest comebacks, which was the Middle East. Post 9/11, post Khashoggi, which is far worse than whatever Kanye West has done.
Yeah, but that took
the only point I'm making
took like $1 trillion.
Yeah, but he has the reach of $1 trillion. But
the only point I'm making
is he could do a
I
fucking
think,
song apologizing and saying it was. I never want to doubt someone's comeback.
I just think that this Middle East wanted to come back, like they knew they needed to. It feels like Kanye, like it's going to take a moment of being like, oh, I was wrong, or maybe you don't ever admit that to yourself, but you're like, I need money.
Exactly.
I need this web, so I need to go act a certain way. Like I need to go play the game again. And
so
the Middle East is willing to play the game.
The Middle East played the game originally. Why they played the game was not because of World Cup, pop culture. The fucking oil money train was felt that it was running out. And that there's huge push to clean energy and all of these things are on the horizon. I mean, even if you ask, I'm sure someone in Saudi Arabia today, they're looking out 50 years, 100 years. They're not going to make as much money as they made in oil, 10 years of there. They will in 50 years. They know that. So it is a money play for them at the end of the day. Kanye will run out of money. And I think he'll have no choice.
I know. I hope you're right. It feels to me like he is gone.
Okay, that's fine.
Like he's
my loser, so he's gone.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. There's so much to like wait and see next year. We have no idea.
Yeah, it's wild.
Okay, Anand, your loser's Elon.
Yeah. You guys' hero.
Yeah, that's fair.
Our hero.
That's fair. Okay. My loser. I mean, look, nobody took it, so I'll just take it. It's too easy. SBF.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes without saying, and it's so fresh, I don't even need to like re-explain it. I mean, the guy's just the epitome of a loser. He looks like a loser. He talks like a loser.
Dresses like a loser.
He spends money like a loser. He runs a company like a loser. I mean, he's a fucking loser. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spot on.
That's easy. Okay, now here we go. The prediction part of the episode. So this is the fun part. Everyone hope for a good soundbite. I hope you, Ari, I hope you catalog these and remember, and hopefully we get one here. I feel pretty good about my predictions. But let's make some predictions for 2023 and see who gets it right. D, what is your prediction for what will happen in the stock market in 2023? Now, I want you to picture it is December 31st of 2023, and we play you this clip, and you flawlessly explain what happened in the market this year. What's going to happen?
Okay, here we go. I'm going to give you the full roller coaster of the year.
Okay.
The first 3 months of the year, the stock market is going to get annihilated. continue to get destroyed because interest rates are not going to let up. They just came out and already said they're not cutting rates this year. I think as interest rates go up, the risk reward that the biggest investors in the world are willing to take, they're going to continue to sell stocks. Corporate earnings are going to get cut. And I think we see a lot of pain for the next 3 months. Then I think we stabilize for 6 months. And we end up rallying at the end of the year, but we're still down from where we're at today. We're not positive by the end of the year. We're marginally down. We kind of end up being like a flat year, but it's a crazy roller coaster, a ton of volatility, mainly because I don't know what the fuck is going to happen in China with this COVID lockdown and how, I mean, the reopening, how will that affect the reemergence of China? I believe that it will have an impact on oil prices. I think first it goes down, but then I think the demand, same way the American consumer is, the Chinese consumer is exactly the same. They're going to come roaring back and they're going to have to deal with all the same problems we did. They're a year behind. Yeah. So I think that will have some positive impact, but it'll also have some negative impact on like commodity prices where oil prices shoot up again and fuck everything up. Yeah. That's my prediction.
I'm going to do a little shortcut and say I agree. Yours was just better explained than mine, but I mean, there's no point in me just doing a shittier version of that. But yes, I agree with you completely. Anand?
Okay.
We're going to be up. Stock market will be up by the end of the year. Get there? I don't think.
How much are we going to be up?
I think you're going to see in the next 3 to 6 months choppiness, meaning you're going to see NASDAQ, S&P down 2-3% in like a span of 2 days. You're going to see NASDAQ, S&P up 2-3% in span of 3 days. And you're going to see this back and forth, just kind of square dance of going up and down. But I don't think we meaningfully move lower. The stock market historically is a leading indicator, not a lagging indicator. So the stock market's been completely crushed in the last 12 months. It's the worst year since 2008. $11.6 trillion has been destroyed. And I think the stock market will just waver until the Fed pivots. And I think the Fed pivots within the first 6 months of this year.
So how much
do you think the interest rates drop this year?
Yeah, I do. I think the recession's real. And I think the recession's going to come and the data will start coming out with worse earnings reports in the first 2 quarters of this year, and the Fed will be forced its hand. So they're going to do the next 2. I think it's a 50 and 25. That's already baked in. And then you're going to see the economy start really taking the signs that we might be hitting a hard landing, and they're going to be forced to pivot. And the stock market's already baked in all this. So, absent another black swan, sure. If like the world shut down again, the stock market is going to go down 20%, but I can't predict that. I'm saying absent of a black swan, you're just going to see choppiness until the Fed pivots. Fed pivots, market rallies.
I hope you're right, but I think that happens next spring or 2024 spring. I think it's just longer. I think
it's second half of the year. Second half of the year, we're going to rally. I think from today's levels up 10-15%.
We rallied for so long. We need to have pain for longer.
Yeah, I don't see the pain yet. I think the pain is just
There's
starting.
No pain.
Like your everyday person isn't losing their job.
Yeah, look at Aspen. There's no pain. St. Bart's. There's no pain.
No pain. Okay, but that's great. We'll see who's right in 12 months. Okay, next one is, what is your prediction for crypto in 2023? D.
I'll give you prices. I think at the end of this year, Bitcoin's at 10,000 and ETH is at 1,000.
Wow, what's ETH at today? Like 1,500?
1,200. So it's not that ETH's not going down that much relative.
Well, that's the only thing. I think all the development on all these altcoins, they basically are gone. Solana, Molana, Moana, whatever. They're worth zero.
Yeah.
I think all of that shit is zero. Like, I think all that altcoin shit goes away. I think the focus then becomes on Ethereum. And so, I think it kind of stabilizes a little. And I think Bitcoin, I agree on the store value thing. I think it does come back. I just don't think it comes back this year.
Yeah, once again, I agree. Literally what I wrote down is altcoins are dead. Bitcoin and Ethereum track the market, which is flat.
Okay.
But I do think Bitcoin, you put it at 10K. I think it's at, what's it today? 16? Where are we at?
Yeah, mid 16, something.
I think we're, between 15 and 17. I think we're just flat.
It's just flat. Yeah, I think we're in the mid 20s for Bitcoin.
Do you think
and
it
Ethereum.
decouples from the?
No,
oh, no, because you're betting the
it's
markets up.
yeah, I'm betting the market's up. And if the market's up 10 to 15%, risky assets are going to be up 30 to 50%. So I'm betting that.
Okay, that's fun. Biggest industry or business winner of 2023. Who's it going to be? D.
Mine is, so I have two. I have industry and company, and they're intertwined.
Okay.
AI, nothing hotter. It's the new Web3. I'll predict at the end of the year, it'll probably be my loser at the end of 2023.
There you
go.
But I know that people can't help themselves. The money that's going to go into AI companies is going to be vomiting amounts of money.
Literally, that you just called it the new Web3. It's exactly that.
It's exactly but we know what's going to happen. I'm not going to be stupid and not predict exactly what's going to happen, which is the record amount of money that will go into AI will be so fucking staggering.
Yeah.
And just causing chaos. We're going to see like AI for dog shitting, and that's going to get a $500 million valuation. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The actual biggest.
Mr. Exits back on to say anything
AI space. Remember space? Now it's AI. Yeah. But I actually think the biggest winner because of AI is going to be Microsoft. It announced today that ChatGPT, which is the company, I mean, the product that's been released by OpenAI, which Microsoft is the largest investor in, is now going to integrate with fucking Bing this year.
Bing making a comeback.
Bing has 3% of the fucking search market. If ChatGPT just integrates in some capacity, Bing can go from 3 to 5% this year, and which is
5. It could go to like 10.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if it goes that much, Microsoft, which has basically been this quiet B2B business, just crushing it, all of a sudden comes roaring back in search. And Microsoft at the end of this year is the biggest fucking winner by far.
My only advice is drop the Bing. Like, just rename it.
Rename it ChatGPT.
Microsoft is launching a new AI, integrating ChatGPT. Like, that would be the hottest shit in the world.
They already have 3% of the market, so it's like, fuck it.
Just switch the name. Keep the 3%.
I mean, and I think marketers are going to flock to fucking Bing. Like, it's like the hottest thing. I think Microsoft's my biggest winner, but it's being driven by OpenAI.
Yeah, and the overfunding will be AI products that have no AI.
And no value.
Yeah. Okay, that's fun. Okay, Anand?
Mine is private equity companies. I think with between private companies across all industries that are struggling, that can't raise money, and companies that are public that have a lot of debt, they're just going to come picking off whatever they want at whatever price they want.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good, solid, rational prediction. Mine is a little obscure. I'm going with Mr. Beast.
Oh.
I get the impression that Mr. Beast is the first like influencer, billionaire, like really just doing things on another level. And with his restaurants and all of these things that he's doing, I think he does some sort of massive deal in 2023. I think he becomes a billionaire in 2023.
I like that. It feels like all the stars are aligned.
It does. It feels on the precipice. He feels like the first guy to do it on that level. It will then set there's already funds being created to find and support the next Mr. Beast. The people over at TCG just made one. There's all of these now people on the hunt because they see what a just absolute beast that business is. And I think something happens and I think everyone goes, oh shit, this is different than what we thought. And this whole YouTuber thing is different than what we thought in 2023.
I like it. Good one.
Okay, who is your biggest loser in industry or business, D, for 2023? Who do you think it'll be?
I think the biggest industry loser is fintech in 2023. The stock's been clobbered in 2022. Now the real pain happens. I think a lot of these companies thought they were reinventing solutions that have always existed, but they were really just propped up by venture funding. So whether it's all the loan products that have come out, the buy now, pay laters, there's so many fintech products that are out there, and there's just not enough good people to give money to, not enough good businesses to give money to. So I think total wipeout, shutdowns. I don't think they're going to get acquired. I think banks have figured out how to lend money to people that are credible. They're very comfortable with that. They have money to backstop it. And I think fintech just gets slaughtered.
Yeah, that's a solid one. Okay. Anand, who's going to be the biggest loser of 2023?
For the first time in the last 14 years, real estate.
Oh boy, I think it's coming.
Mortgage lending has already come to a screeching halt.
Yep.
We're heading into what everyone is at the minimum saying a softening economy, at the worst, a deep recession. Let's even say it's somewhere in between. And there's never been all the factors coming together with high interest rates, economy going down, stock market already been clobbered.
Yeah.
Real estate has to give.
Yep.
I think you're totally right. And from what I saw just the other day, it's like mortgages are way down, but prices are kind of holding. As soon as that collapses as well, which I don't see how it just wouldn't be the next thing to collapse.
They will.
Then it's just a wrap. I don't see how it holds on.
Yeah, to your point, 4 months ago, I was looking for warehouse space. Every broker told me the market's not going to change. Market's not going to change. It's too hot, red hot, e-commerce, schmommers, whatever. Every day I get 10 fucking listings of spaces now.
Yeah, it happens so quick.
Yeah, I mean, like people don't like to like believe reality.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Okay, that's a good one. My biggest loser, mine is just, I think we all see it coming, but I still don't think people appreciate how serious it's going to be. Just, poorly run or unprofitable businesses. I think there's a lot of people still kind of living in the heyday of last year. And I don't think people realize how over that really is. And I think it's going to hit really hard next year.
Yeah. I like that.
That's it. Nice and easy. Okay.
Yep.
Who, D, will have the biggest comeback story of the year in 2023?
I have two.
Okay.
One's a company, one's a person. The company is Meta.
That's my person.
Absolutely coming back harder than ever. And I'll explain why. I have a couple rapid fire predictions also that I'll add later. Okay. But Meta is the biggest comeback. I think people are realizing it's still the best fucking advertising product out there. And I think internally at Facebook, they're going to get focused. Zuck's not fucking around with his legacy. Mm-hmm. The person, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp will be the biggest fucking star in the world by the end of this year.
I like that.
That's fair, yeah.
He's got movies coming out. Then he's got the Pirates coming out after, I think, a year after. Johnny Depp's back.
I thought you were picking Andrew Tate.
Nah, that guy might be in jail for the rest of his life. He might not live through 2023.
Yeah, that's good. I can't wait to see how people will like rally around the first big release. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to become a TikTok trend.
Yeah. It's big.
Okay. All right. On it, biggest comeback story of 2023. Who's got it?
Yeah, my man Zuck. I think he spent a little too much time on the mat.
Yeah.
Got a little distracted.
Yeah.
He's going to get focused.
Cutting back on the
mat's done.
Burn
the mat.
He did Joe Rogan. He's over it.
Yeah.
He went to the UFC event. It's fine.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta the board has to write an email and say, "Hey, man, enough of the fucking drilling. Let's drill some property."
He said he was like drilling for 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah,
we have a $400 billion company.
Yeah,
it's sort of like, I don't know if you guys remember it this way, but kind of like skateboarding is what, like in my mind, started to like derail Lil Wayne's run at the top. It's like, damn, bro, he's just skateboarding all day. Like, put out a fucking, like, you're at the top. It feels kind of like that was his skateboarding, was jujitsu for Zuck.
Yeah.
Okay. My biggest comeback, Anand, you're gonna love this one. Twitter.
Ooh, don't call it a comeback.
I think, obviously Twitter is more entertaining than ever. I know, Anand, you love Twitter as is, just without all the bullshit. But I do think that by the end of the year, they figure out the financials. I think advertisers come back. I'm not saying it's the biggest app in the world. I'm not saying anything crazy, but I do think the conversations of Is it dying? Will they be able to sort of bleed it out? I'm not even going to go as far as say it might be because Elon stepped down. So I'm not tying that in with my Elon winner conversation, but I do think Twitter is just an incredible fucking platform that you can't squash. It's survived without evolving for the last decade. And I think a little evolution and some TLC and it has a big comeback next year.
Okay.
That's what I think. Okay. Who in 2023 is going to have the biggest fall from grace? Who's going to Kanye themselves? Who's going to just have a meltdown? Who's going to go from
So
60 to 0?
I couldn't settle on a person because I just felt like it was a little too negative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I settled on a company.
Who you got?
I got TikTok getting banned.
Wow.
That's a bold prediction. I mean, I like it.
And my ban is temporary. I think they ban them and they make them sell to an American company or divest to an American entity that clearly proves that there's some distance. Inevitably, there'll never be full distance, but I think they do enough to please regulators. I do think it's too big to fail in terms of its popularity, but I think there's a halt that causes a thing. So to me, it's like, and the world will see what Twitter is this year. There will be weeks, if not months, with no TikTok. So get ready.
Wow. Good for my prediction. Twitter.
Yeah.
You got to go
Great for
somewhere.
your prediction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the beneficiary of that will be YouTube Shorts. I think instantly, overnight, like 4 p.m., TikTok fucking gets shut down. 4:01, everyone's dancing on YouTube. Dance, YouTube.
I need to dance. Oh my God. Okay, that's a good one. Anand, who do you think will have the biggest fall from grace in 2023?
CZ from Binance, the biggest.
That's mine.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even think about that.
That feels like it's just waiting on the fucking, yeah.
He's gone.
He's gone. I mean, I predicted
predicted
in February of 2022 that SPF was a scam. The way they were growing, he moved to the Bahamas. I was like, this guy's full of shit.
Put him up with that Andrew Tate. CZ.
Just put all these famous people in a prison and make a show about it.
And and auditors, his own auditor at Binance, like recused themselves from auditing their books. No one knows what's going on in there. No one knows where their money is. Yep. If he stepped into any Western world country today, he would be arrested on sight. Yep. This guy's toast.
Yeah, he's 1 foot in prison, 1 foot in Dubai or whatever he is. Okay, that's a good one. I love it. I agree completely. Okay, what do you got? Do you got rapid fires?
Yeah, I mean, I try to incorporate as many of them as I can already, but I would say the one thing that I didn't talk about that I've been thinking about from a pop culture standpoint, I think the biggest breakout star of 2023 will be a Muslim person.
Like entertainer?
Entertainer. I think the next big, I think that market is starving for a star.
Yeah.
And
isn't the kid Muslim the biggest TikTok guy in the world?
Yeah, but he has no cultural influence. I'm talking about like a musician, like a Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Like I think it's one of those. Like I think it's a musician, a movie star, or someone like that breaks through. Like they represent such a.
I mean, Middle East was my biggest winner.
That's what I'm saying. I think the music, and even I'm saying Muslim particularly because even if the Indian person, it could be an Indian person, but from a Muslim background, because the biggest stars in India are Muslim stars.
Yeah,
right. They're not Hindu stars.
You're saying they're gonna break through to the West.
Somebody, or even it could be like a Central C type character, like someone like that. I just feel like that market, even if you've been following this musician, Indian artist, AP Dhillon, sold out so many cities all over the country with a ton of Indian fans, ton of Muslim fans, ton of brown fans.
And he raps in Hindi.
Yeah. And I think it's just a matter of time to one of these guys, but I think it's a Muslim star that breaks out first.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good that's a good prediction.
Interest rate 6%.
A really good soundbite. If
you think they're not stopping,
I say interest rate 6%.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I think pain.
J Powell will need security like the
J
president.
Powell will be the biggest winner of 2023 when he raises interest rates to 2026.
I don't think your average person has any idea who Jay Powell is.
Yeah.
I don't. I think you do one of those like fucking Jimmy Kimmel walk down the street. Who's Jerome Powell? I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You could say, who is Jerome Powell and what are interest rates today? And it's 5% get it out of randomly selecting 20 people.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. We did it.
We did it. Great
All right.
show.
There we go.
Great
Ari,
show.
I expect you to keep a list of our predictions, and at whatever moments they come true, like the first one will probably be CZ in handcuffs. So cue up
that
me
could
and
happen
Anand.
tomorrow.
Yeah, like, we predicted this yesterday. So cue it up, and we'll get some hot TikToks out of it. That's it, right? Is there anything else we got?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Everyone, thank you for listening. Have an incredible year. We can't wait to spend the year taking you through whatever the fuck happens, whether we're right, whether it's completely different. I mean, there's about 5 million different ways that this year could play out. But either way, one thing you can count on is at least 1, 2, or maybe even 3 of us will be here to talk you through it.
Hopefully more than one.
Yeah, you might get a solo pod this year.
You might get an AI. We should do a couple AI episodes.
Yeah. We could do D talks to ChatGPT bot. That could work. Okay. We'll see you guys later. Everyone have a great year.